Spirit. Kalimera says. Morning, we've got some energy. I think a little warm weather this week got everybody energized, which is very good. Today is the second Sunday of Great and Holy Lent. And on the second Sunday of Great and Holy Lent, we always commemorate Saint Gregory Palamas of Thessaloniki, Archbishop of Thessaloniki. And if you go ever to the city of Thessaloniki, the Metropolitan Cathedral in South Central Thessaloniki has his relics there. It's unbelievable. The church is stunningly gorgeous. So just to know that city has two bookmarks in some way in terms of great saints. Saint Demetrius, a 4th century saint, and the first, bookend, I should say, and Palamas, one of the greatest in the more modern era, 15th century saint of our church. I don't know if any of you, maybe some of you have seen a really powerful movie called The Pursuit of Happiness. The Pursuit of Happiness is a movie starring Will Smith. I don't remember when it was made, but it's a true story about a man named Christopher Gardner. Christopher Gardner lived in San Francisco. He had a son, Chris Jr., and he was married. His wife struggled with addiction issues and left him, and he was poor. And Christopher Gardner, at a breaking point when his wife left him, realized very quickly, I've got someone to take care of, Chris Jr., his son. And Christopher Gardner took care of his son so beautifully. If you've seen the movie, you'll know this. I won't share too many details to spoil it if you haven't seen the movie. But while bouncing around different shut-in homes, there was one night where Chris and his son were left out on the streets. And Chris Gardner did something so powerful. He found a bathroom at a train station or a bus station, and he locked the door. You could imagine, for a father to have to sleep with his son on the floor of a bathroom at a train station is pretty difficult. Maybe he'd be feeling worthless. Maybe he'd be feeling guilty. But in that bathroom, Chris and his son played. And they pretended like they were in some battle and staying down in a bunker, safe and sound. He wouldn't let his son think that he wasn't taking care of him. Along the way, and even though Chris Gardner was in the streets, even though he had no job, he never let his son, whether it be explicitly or implicitly, know that he wasn't going to be okay by virtue of being his dad. He was going to take care of his son. Maybe we could say he was going to save his son. And that's what he did. And he learned economics. He became a trader. And he even said something powerful in the movie, when I began at the firm, I would not drink water from the water fountain, for it would be a waste of time to go to the water fountain to fill it up. And of course, the more you go to the water bubbler, the more you have to go to the washroom. So he wouldn't even waste a minute once he got his job, pulled himself up by his bootstraps, and he went on to become and continue to be that father to Chris Jr. and giving him much more than accommodations, a place to live, giving him a father who would, through any challenge, any difficulty, even sleeping on the floor of a public restroom, stop Chris Jr. from knowing that his dad would always take care of him, protect him, and even save him from the difficult economic position they were in. This story I purposely shared to you on this Sunday, the second Sunday of Great and Holy Lent, because we also always read the story of the paralytic from Luke. And this story is so interesting It's so interesting. In the Synoptic Gospels, there are many stories of Christ saving people. Oftentimes, when Christ saves someone or heals someone, he does it by asking the person being healed, "What would you like me to do for you?" He says to the blind man, which is so funny, "What would you like me to do for you?" It's like, hello? I can't see, you know? But in this particular gospel lesson, it's not Jairus' father asking for salvation. As a matter of fact, this only instance of healing, no one asks Christ to heal the paralytic. The paralytic never asks him in the gospel, nor do the four men holding the paralytic's pallet, they're carrying him on a piece of wood, basically. And this is so interesting, but it's also a point that's not unintentional, and it's important for us on this Sunday of Lent to notice something so powerful. Christ is sitting in a house preaching. The house is packed to the gills. You can't walk through the door. And four men carrying their friend on a pallet realize this. We don't know how far away they come, but they've decided to put their friend who needs healing onto a pallet and walk him over to wherever this guy named Jesus is, because they really believe that if they could just get him to Christ, that he will be healed. They believed it so much that when they saw the door of the house packed with people, knowing they couldn't get in, they went on the roof of the house and ripped it off with their hands. Have you ever done roofing? I did roofing as a kid for my dad. I'll just tell you, roofing is not fun. And that's with modern tools. So they rip the roof of the house off and they lower this man in. They say without saying one word, "Nothing will stop us from getting this sick man to Christ." And very interestingly, Christ says to the four men carrying the paralytic, not to the paralytic, he says, "You are healed, your faith." He says, seeing their faith, meaning the faith of the four carriers of the paralytic's pallet, seeing their faith, he heals the paralytic. Without any prompting by the paralytic, without any prompting explicitly by the ones carrying his pallet, Christ sees their faith and heals. My friends, this morning's gospel lesson, this second Sunday of Lent, is something for us to consider our power and our ability to save those around us. Clearly, this world needs help. We notice that especially today. We are called to be the carriers of the paralytic. And while in your life and in my life, we might not have people who are physically paralyzed, this world is stricken with spiritual paralysis. We know that struggle exists in our families, in our workplace, and in our world. And I don't know about you, but so often the first place in our mind to go is justifying why someone else is spiritually, mentally, emotionally sick, pointing out all the ways they went wrong. But the paralytic story today tells us the opposite. It tells us we are called to hold the pallet of those paralyzed in our life. We are called to carry those struggling in our life. And if we face a challenge, whether it be a bathroom floor, or whether it be a roof that is to be torn off with our bare hands, we will choose to do it. We will choose to carry those around us to Christ. We will choose to foster such faith as the paralytic's bearers, that we will be able to bring all of those around us in need to Christ and be willing to make that choice. My brothers and sisters, we have an opportunity today to really think about our ability to intercede for those around us. That we really do have the God-given power that the paralytic's bearers had this morning. And that we, if we make that choice, we choose to carry and hold those who are in need, if we choose to do the work it takes to bring them to Christ, if we choose to foster and garner faith in ourselves to believe that we can save those around us. This is a deep and powerful message in this morning's gospel lesson, albeit a nuance and subtle, but it's something that we must truly take to heart, that we can save those around us. May we choose in our lives to foster a faith of the paralytic's bearers. May we choose to carry those around us rather than break them down. And in doing so, may we choose to bring salvation into this world that we probably can say now needs it more than ever. Amen. Please rise.
We'll explain that later.
Μετά φόβου Θεού πίστεως και αγάπης προσέλθετε.
In the fear of God with faith